Creativity involves getting out of an already established pattern and trying to look at things in a different way. Welcome to The Intellect, Youth with a Nation at Heart. My name is Daniel Adaja, and today on The Intellect, we take a look at the creative industry with a special focus on print media. And today we're going to be speaking with the CEO of Reservoir Bank of Ideas, Oladele Okanlanwon.
Can we meet you, sir?
Thank you very much. My name is Oladele Okanlanwon, and I'm the CEO of Reservoir Bank of Ideas.
Amazing. Could you give us a brief history into how Bank of Ideas became a reality?
Okay. You mean the name or the company?
The company.
The company. Okay. I've always been a very creative person, right from my school days. You know, I studied industrial design as a first degree in the university, from Oladele University, Zaria. There was this day, and a couple of my friends were working on a project. It was an art project we were working on, you know, and we're rubbing minds and we're sharing ideas. And one of them was like, "Oh, okay, man, you have lots of ideas. Like you're a reservoir of ideas, you're a storage tank of ideas. It means your brain." I was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "That's a nice name for a company, or Reservoir Bank of Ideas," and that's how the name started.
Now, so far for you as the CEO of Reservoir Bank of Ideas, what has been one of the major challenges you had to deal with when you started?
Well, the major challenge that I had to deal with, and I am still dealing with, is the issue of funding.
Okay.
When I say funding, I mean affordable funding.
Okay.
You see, startups in Nigeria suffer a lot because the regular banks don't even believe in the business at inception. No bank will give you a loan for a new business.
Okay.
You know, they only give loans to businesses that are already existing.
Okay.
And now, even when you get those loans come at ridiculous rates.
For you as a business person, what were the things that gave you the leverage to get access to fund? What were the things you had to put in place that helped your business get access to fund?
I always tell people that I think integrity is the number one thing, because integrity is a very broad spectrum phrase. When you have integrity, it means you say what you do and you do what you say.
All right, now you being a creative entrepreneur, or let me say you in the print media, what are some of the loopholes that you think needs to be fixed as individuals in print media and also on the government aspect?
I won't call them loopholes. I'll call them very big potholes. Because when you say loopholes, it means that they're just tiny things that could be fixed like this. No, I mean they are real giant problems in the creative industry.
Okay.
Now, apart from funding, which is the key aspect, government policies are also not helping our business. Like in the printing industry, for instance, Nigeria doesn't have paper. We presently do not produce paper. We presently do not have any government policies that support the production of paper. We expect the government to revamp the paper mills. We used to have one at Jeba, there's one at Iwukwe. They're all moribund now. They were sold to people that do not even have the capacity to revive them because of the Nigerian factors and the way we do things in our country. Now, apart from paper, the other policies that really affect us as individuals are the import rates.
Let's use Bank of Ideas as an example. What were some of the mistakes you made when you started that young entrepreneurs right now, you don't want them to make that same mistake?
Some of the mistakes we made while we started was taking bank loans, lack of proper financial education.
Okay.
There's financial education that you need, that you must learn to succeed in any business. And you must hire professionals. You cannot hire an engineer to do accounting work. You know, there's specific people that are trained to do specific things. So you must do the right things. You know, so for young people that are about to start out, you know, you might not have the resources to hire the right people when you're starting out. So you could partner. That's another big problem with most Nigerian businesses.
Okay.
You know, because we don't trust ourselves a lot.
Mm.
You know, so everybody wants to do a one-man business, and one-man businesses comes with a lot of risks, because if your business fails, you fail alone. But imagine you have 2 or 3 people that are sharing your risks and are sharing your profits with you. You will not only make more money, but you can go and sleep sometimes knowing that your other partners are also working. You know, so I'll advise young people to form alliances, to form friendships with people that they can trust, and do business together.
Amazing. All right, we're gonna call it a wrap in no time, but I'd like to ask you for the move of the government to move out a lot of young people from unemployment, or to get more people employed and reduce the rate of unemployment in the country. How best do you think that the creative industry or how much of people can the creative industry accommodate?
Right now, I think apart from agriculture, I think the creative industry is the next highest employer of labor in Nigeria today. I believe that very strongly, because take Shomolu for instance. Shomolu in Nigeria, there are over 3,000-4,000 printers in Shomolu. Now, a print business is not just a print business. There's a whole value chain attached to the printing industry. The engineers, the machine minders, the people that sell ink, the people that buy waste, the people that sell waste, the cleaners, it's a whole, the computer guys, the tech guys, it's a whole value chain. So it's not just printing. By the time you look at printing as a sector and you look at the value chain and ripple effects that opportunities from printing comes, I believe that a government that wants to improve employment in Nigeria should look at those kind of industries very, very critically.
All right, now your final words or your word of advice for young entrepreneurs.
There's no quick fix. There's no fast way of doing anything. Life is a process.
Special thanks to Oladele Okanlanwon, the CEO of Reservoir Bank of Ideas. For more information, you can log on to our website www.theintellects.com.ng. Stay tuned.
Welcome to another amazing episode of The Intellect, Youth with the Nation at Heart. I am Chidera. Today we'll be speaking about a very interesting topic, which is creating a safe space for creatives to thrive. With me in the studio today, I have 2 amazing young Nigerian individuals, and they would introduce themselves, and then together would be able to analyze this particular interesting topic. So, please, what's your name?
My name is Femi Ojo.
Mr. Femi Ojo, and
My name is Oladele Okanlanwon.
Oladele. How are you all doing today?
I'm good.
Okay, we watched the interview with the CEO of Bank of Ideas, is that correct? And for me, I think it was really interesting because his interview opened my eyes to something that, like, it's quite of rampant because of the age we're in now, but I was exposed to another part I have never paid attention. That's my own perspective. So what did you think about his interview?
What I think about the interview is about value.
Okay,
value can actually not be paid for.
Okay.
So it is time for us to actually stop complaining about value other people offer.
Okay, and Olaolu?
Well, I learned that creativity does not have its limits,
Okay.
and you cannot put a price tag to creativity.
Creativity. Okay, so if there's something I've noticed among businesses, young people start, especially SMEs, when you ask them one of their major challenges, the first thing they will tell you is funding. Funding, which is one of they tell you that it's very difficult to source out funds to be able to push the business forward. So what's your view about this, Olaolu?
So basically, a lot of entrepreneurs complain about funding, and for the next decade or more, that issue would never or will, you won't be able to address it properly. And that's the reason we are in far-fetched. Number one, the banks. It's very difficult as entrepreneurs to get access to loans and also collaterals in terms of return on investment, and also collaterals which might not be feasible for them. Also, I've come to realize that rather than sit down and complain, I remember what Amanda said at DJ about the danger of a single story there are two sides to a story: opportunity and hardship.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as everyone, a lot of entrepreneurs complain about hardship, and which is there are no access to funds, there are other opportunities. One could be diversification. For example, you are into farming, and you want to purchase some equipment. Why not also try and lay your hands on another business? Maybe get paid employment. I'm just raising examples, or do something else that can, they would say, rob Peter to pay Paul. So it's important for you to be creative about other avenues where you can also source for funds. Yes, you can even start from home, from your parents, from your siblings, your families, friends, as little as you can get.
When Mr. Oladele was speaking, Femi, he made mention of integrity. That integrity is really important in business. But these days, how would you find someone who has integrity? You would, I'm not saying you would find, but the percentage of people with that in business, because money is involved, is low. And most people would not even want to trust another person, because if I cannot trust myself, why should I trust someone else, right? Okay, so how do you think this has affected the growth of business?
First and foremost, you understand the fact that in this part of the world, we don't trust ourselves. and I think it's actually a mentality thing. You actually don't trust ourselves, and you know. But I will tell you today that we have percentage of Nigerians that they have integrity. I've worked with people that they actually have integrity. In business, nobody wants to start small. That's the problem. Everybody wants to have the 5 million naira today, wants to have that $30 billion tomorrow, and you need to start small. I used to ask questions: what are your track records? When you have a track record, it actually speaks more of you when you're trying to even go for loans in the bank. Okay. It goes a long way. Your track records. What have you done? Basically, the little money you have, the little capital resources you do have, what have you used to impact? Have you actually put that into your business to try to actually start with? Then going to the bank, that's a track record. Okay, for so years I've been into this business. This was my capital when I was starting. This is what I've gained. It even encourages the person you're actually talking to. Yes. Do you get? Even for NGOs, you ask me questions for NGOs. International organizations are there. Over 200 international organizations are outside this country that they are solving one problem or the other. They are solving United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. They are solving this problem. You have access to them. But the question is, do you have a track record? Have you started something on your own before? It goes a long way.
We're talking about the creative industry. Everybody's trying to be creative. And when we're speaking about being creative, from the interview we watched, it's a kind of diversified form of creativity. Of course, for someone who sells bags, that person could be creative in selling the bag. But this time around, we're not really looking at that aspect. We're looking for how do I put it? Like something you have not seen, a value you can't see, but you don't get to see or feel it. For instance, when I'm saying about something like web designing, of course, you get that value, but you don't get to see, you don't get to touch. Yes. So how do you think this industry can move better from what it is now to somewhere greater, Olaolu?
So yeah, in a nutshell, they need to realize that they are like seeds, and once you plant a seed, it has to germinate, but it has to first die, then it germinates.
That's true.
They always have to go through that process where they start. They might be alone. I remember Jason Njoku, who said being an entrepreneur is a lonesome journey. So yes, at the beginning you might start, you might be a lonesome one, but so long as you have your target or whatever objective you want to meet, eventually you will rise up. Yes, you'll be able to earn.
Okay. So Femi, do you think people are patient enough to want to grow in whatever thing they do, like in whatever business they think they can do? Do you think they're patient enough?
Okay, it's a fantastic question, and I would use myself as an example where I put millions of naira into a business, and at the end of the month, the profit is actually not paying my bills. That's a challenge on the part. But the truth is, patience has to come on board, has to come into play for you to actually drive results. You need to be patient. You need to be efficient. You know, you talked about, Mr. Oladele talked about timeline. Timeline, it's actually, you have to give yourself a timeline. Okay, I'm putting this million into this business. After how many months or after a year, how much profit you want to have on board. So I would say a lot of people, including myself, I might not be so patient. We aren't patient enough. And that is why SMEs don't go in this country, because we aren't patient enough. We are not ready to collaborate with each other. Startups aren't ready to collaborate. Everybody wants to just work in isolation, as he has said. So it's one of those problems, and it's one of the challenges being fixed.
Do you think that when most startup business have the right investors to invest in them, it would actually survive?
Oh, it's another thing to to have the right investors. It's another thing to have the right methodology. Okay. It's different. You could have the right investor, but you might not have the right technical know-how or methodology to drive results.
In the creative world, there's nothing like time. If you give a child 10 seconds, I give any adult 10 seconds to draw a clock. He will draw a clock, very simple, and he will give it to you, a piece of paper. But if you give that same adult 10 minutes to draw a clock, he would find colors, he would color it, he would add this, make it look more beautiful, more attractive. So once we realize that you do not look at time as that form of, you see time as a more or less a creative enabler to whatever business or industry you're doing. Once you focus on it, your head is low. Definitely in time, as I said, with time, things will definitely pick up.
Okay, and I wanted to ask you, when we say creating a safe space for creative to thrive, what do you think that safe space could mean? Or how do you think we can create safe space for businesses to thrive?
All right, so as creatives, we are creators. So we create something. So it's just like a mother who gives birth to a child.
Okay.
It's important to know that the mother would want to protect her child.
Okay.
So that is where you see the legal industry coming into play, intellectual property.
Okay.
And you see some artists, oftentimes they have a record label agreement where maybe most times there are no lawyers involved because you're not coming artist and someone says it's just going to give you 2 million and you do not properly look at documents which says you're giving away your creative license to the record label, that even if they leave, they can use it. So it's important that, first of all, the artists themselves are aware, or the creative entrepreneurs are aware of the laws in those industries. We should not, ignorance is not an excuse. Also, it's important that as creatives, we should understand that they need to find their muse. And it can be anywhere. So even as an executive, even as an employer of creative people, you need to know that your environment, you need to create an enabling environment where they can find their muse and they can thrive, they can grow, and you do not, failure is an option.
Okay.
Because for you to be a creative person, you must fail.
You must fail.
To rise at that. So it's important to have all those factors in.
Okay. For our viewers who are just joining us, I want you to give us like examples of the creatives we're discussing, so people can actually follow up to have an idea of what exactly we're talking about.
So I would say we have several.
Okay.
Like fashion, in fashion industry, we have artists, we have website designers, we have graphics, we have data analysts, and so on and so forth. And those are the people you can actually call them being creative. Those are people that they work for values, and you don't physically see what they offer. That's it.
Okay. Okay. So Olaolu, to you, what's your opinion about the creative space in Nigeria? Like, what's your opinion? Where do we think we are now? In fact, comparing us to our counterpart other West African countries before we go into the war, what's your opinion about where we are now, about the creative industry as a whole?
I would say our creative industry is in a developing state, it's in a progressive state.
It hasn't developed yet.
It's one thing about creativity is you never reach
the peak.
You always keep going, so you break that barrier, keep going.
Okay, so to explain more on what we've been discussing, we'll be watching an interview with a young Nigerian lady who is in the creative space. We interviewed her, heard her views, her journey so far. So please stay tuned as we'll be right back.
Good evening, my name is Chidera Okolie. I am a writer, the author of When Silence Becomes Too Loud, published in 2014. When we talk about creativity, we try to limit creativity to what we call the core creativity or the core creatives. We talk about theater arts, we talk about fashion, music, visual arts, but the truth is creativity is way beyond that. Creativity is, are you very innovative? Are you a strategic thinker? Are you inventive? If you are a creative. Now, we had a symposium not too long ago where Majid said something. He said that you won't believe that soldiers at war are also creatives because they have to come up with formations to outsmart and overpower their opponents. That alone makes them creatives. As long as you are an innovative person, as long as you are an inventive person, you are a creative. In this era of social media where irrespective of what your creativity looks like, how unusual it is, there are people there who will appreciate what you have to offer. Even if they're not in your circle, even if they're not in your country. Now you put your work out there and it seems unusual compared to what we're used to. But someone there in the Caribbean, someone there in Europe can appreciate what you're doing. And once you start gaining international recognitions, trust me, Nigerians will follow.
Welcome back, viewers. I'm sure we enjoyed that particular interview with the young Nigerian lady who is actually a writer. So thank you for watching the Intellects, Youths with the Nation at Heart. See you next time.
Hello everyone, my name is God Queen Anike, and again we are back on Business Crest. Today I am going to be talking to you about belief. What do you understand by belief? Belief to me and to some people means the act of trusting. For you to believe that something would work while putting work to it. Now, do you know the only man that was able to manufacture a car out of 1,800 other manufacturers? Because he had a vision and he put it to work, and voila, a car came. He is known as Henry Ford. Henry Ford was an American industrialist and a business magnate. Henry Ford was born in the year 1863 and died in the year 1947. He was the only person that could manufacture a car that every average American could afford. And it's everywhere, even here in this country. Now, this is to put it to you that if you believe in something, you can achieve it. Just put work to it. I'm here to preach about consistency too. But I don't want to bore you with that. And I will always advise you to go ahead and read about things so you'll be able to learn and be encouraged from people like this. Till we meet again next time, always believe in yourself. Thank you so much. And do not forget to visit our website and register for our Export 10 before it ends. And for more inquiries, visit all our social media platforms. Until we meet again, bye.